But still in the United States, I needed to show you this. As I mentioned before about how the Journalists' Union is demanding that journalists pick a side when it comes to climate change, well, the mask has fallen off. Two very big names of the 80s and 90s who in an era before cable TV was massive, or as cable TV was growing, these were people who spoke to tens of millions of people every single day. They were people who pretended to be down the middle. Well, they are now showing that they were anything but. I'd imagine this to be exactly the same with most people who work on television in this country. Oh, I'm objective. I'm down the line. Well, I've got the balls to tell you what my opinion is, but I want to show you two people here. Katie Couric. She was on the Today Show in the US for the best part of 20 years. She then read their version of the 6 p.m. news on one of their 4 free-to-air networks. She's a big name, but now she doesn't work for them anymore, and it's time to kiss the ring of I hate Trump.
Trump is like a heat-seeking missile. He can detect your vulnerabilities.
A bully.
And Bloomberg, I think, in that one tweet, Donald Trump hates that his back was turned, you know, that all the New York Macas turned their back on him, and he never was quite accepted into society. And then the art of the deal, the idea that he's a bad deal maker.
He is.
So I talked to somebody from the Bloomberg campaign. They said they're hiring an expert on narcissism and combining that. No, this is for real. Combining that person with a comedy writer to get in Donald Trump's head.
That's the game. It's not we have better ideas. It's not that the country's worse off than it was 4 years ago. It's psychological warfare. This is why the bias of the media is so important. They are part of the psychological warfare because they are the ones who decide to legitimise the talking points, to turn molehills into mountains of scandal, of outrage, of this president is the first this, the first that. That's how it works. Another one is a guy called Sam Donaldson. For decades, he was a White House correspondent for one of the 4 free-to-air channels. He then ended up hosting one of the American versions of those Sunday morning political talk shows, which are about as big as it gets for free-to-air television and politics. Now, the media have decided who their candidate is. It's the bloke who owns media. This guy was a down-the-line journalist for decades. Now, because it's Trump, he's all in on Bloomberg.
I think Mike Bloomberg is best suited to take on Donald J. Trump this November and beat him. And that's something I think is very important for the country. You're right. When I was a working reporter in Washington for 52 years, I never did anything like this. I never gave any money to candidates. I didn't even register for a political party. But when they threw me out at age 80 6 years ago, I was free to do this. And I think it's very important now. We are in the grip, Anderson, of a sick, ignorant man. He's mean. He's corrupt.
Remember when people used to say the only reason Donald Trump was running for president was because he wanted to start a television station? Well, now the lefties are going to try and wrap their arms around a man who already owns a television station. All of these people who don't have a job anywhere in the media but used to be big old stars, do they think if they kiss the ring early enough, eventually they'll get a gig on the other side? But of course, none of this is worth discussing, is it? Because those conspiracy theories only exist for conservatives. It's a little bit like when those down-the-line reporters end up turning around and having to pick a side to run for politics. Perfect example, Patrick Condren, the bloke who is trying to be the next Lord Mayor of Brisbane for decades. Oh, I'm down the line. I have no favouritism whatsoever. First chance he gets to join a political party, oh, it happens to be the lefty one. It happens here. These people are part of pushing the narrative, part of the psychological warfare, and that's why we hit back every single night. The result is my career prospects get tighter and tighter and tighter. But I'll be as honest as I can be with you until the day there is no more microphone. And in 2020, there are plenty of microphones, most of all the one that I enjoy with you each and every night.